All right, so when you're raising money for something interesting, it's way easier than just raising money to buy a mobile home or buy a single family home. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about how to raise money for multifamily property investing. All right, so first I'm gonna talk about how to keep yourself out of trouble when raising money. Then I'm gonna talk about all the fun you can have raising the money. And then I'm gonna talk about some deals we've done raising capital. All right, so if you're a dedicated subscriber and hopefully you smash that subscribe button and also go ahead and hit that like button just as a little extra tip to me, that really helps the algorithms for YouTube and that just shows that you wanna see this stuff. And all right, my last ask, but I wanna mention the rhino. You guys probably noticed a rhino in my background in all 200 of my videos. Well, she died this morning, and I just want to let you know it's been a sad day. I was actually trying to do a handstand, and I kicked her right off the wall for one of our thumbnail photos. So I just wanted to talk about the elephant in the room. We don't actually have one behind me. Nate wanted to put an elephant behind me in place of a rhino, and I was like, you can never replace a rhino with an elephant. But anyhow, if you've enjoyed seeing the rhino in the background, maybe send me a new one. I don't know. We got to go find a new one. It was really hard to find that last one. So just know that's what happened to the rhino. All right. So how to keep yourself out of trouble. First, you have to talk to a syndication attorney. There's multiple syndication attorneys out there. If you just YouTube syndication deals or syndication attorneys, there's multiple attorneys out there offering great content on how to set up a syndication. What is a syndication? All you're doing is you're putting a deal together and you're raising funds for it. Or you could just set up an actual fund and you can use that on multiple deals. But a syndication is just that one particular property. I recommend, talking about what is a regulation C, what is regulation D. Ultimately, I'm gonna just break it down really simply for you. If you set up a syndication, you can do it a couple ways. You can set up one that you can advertise like on the radio or podcast and things like that, but you must bring in accredited investors. What are accredited investors? It means they're big ballers. Like it means that they bring in enough money to be an accredited investor. Who is not an accredited investor? It's that guy that only has $50,000 and you're taking his last $50,000 and that's all he has. We don't ever want to take money when it's their last $50,000 or whatever. So accredited investors usually make several $100,000 a year. They have like $1 million in assets that don't include their personal home, things like that. So you don't want to take like money from Uncle Henry that only has 20 grand and he calls you every day wondering when you're going to, start paying him some interest. Like you don't want to go down that route. So that's one way to keep yourself out of trouble is either setting a syndication up or a fund and talking to an actual syndication attorney first. Next, I want to talk about all the fun you can have by raising capital. A lot of people are afraid because it's like, oh, I'm going out and asking for money. People are going to reject me and tell me no. I'm telling you, every rejection you get, use it as a stepping stone to understand like, well, they weren't rejecting you. They might have been rejecting your idea. Maybe your presentation wasn't very well. Maybe you didn't know the numbers. Like for instance, like someone asked me the other day, what is it gonna cost to develop these 312 RV pads? And I didn't have a final number from the contractor. So I kind of fumbled a little bit because I didn't know the actual cost. I had some, guesstimation of cost, but they wanted to see it all in writing, and to do that, we need to go to an engineer. And then we need to bring the engineer drawings to an architect and then the architect to the actual commercial builder that's gonna build this out. So there's a lot of steps to get there. And ultimately people want to see that you've invested time, some of your own money, and a lot of strategic thinking on these projects. So just be prepared, use the objection as a building step. And they're not saying no forever. They might be just saying no for right now. So some of the ways that I have fun raising capital is, I go to meetups. I talk to people at local meetups. I run my own personal meetup. I now have 2 meetups. I started one in Colorado Springs with a couple friends, and now I just started another one in Vero Beach, Florida with another friend. Next is getting on YouTube, like this channel right here. Guys, if anybody's watching this and you're looking for real estate opportunities, I always have opportunities coming my way. Right now we're developing a 36-acre RV park. We have a 44 townhome development in Colorado Springs that actually just got reduced to 38 townhomes. We're partnering with that. We're always raising more money. We have a 19-unit apartment complex. So if you are interested in partnering on these deals, we're always looking for more funds and more capital. Maybe you're the doctor, attorney, dentist, whatever, and you have a full-time job paying you tons of money and you need tax write-offs. Ultimately we have this bonus depreciation and cost segregation, things that the IRS tax code allows us to do. I'm ultimately paying way less money in taxes every year because I own real estate, and you too can do that. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, head over to my Brent Bowers on Instagram. Maybe you want to hear more about what we're doing, subscribe to this channel, and then also getting on podcasts, talking on other people's podcasts, talking about the projects you're doing, the money you're raising, talking about your multifamily projects. That is another way to find money. But again, talk to the securities attorney, make sure you're not getting yourself in trouble by doing that, and just kind of following the guidelines that they set and the securities attorney set for you. All right, now I want to get into that property. I kind of already mentioned it, the 19-unit apartment complex. And I also mentioned the meetup that we created in Colorado Springs. How do we find this deal? First, we found it. We were mailing out a bunch of postcards, and then ultimately my cold caller got this gentleman on the phone. He owned a 19-unit apartment complex in Colorado Springs where we were located, where our operation was at, but the guy was running it from Tennessee. He was running a 19-unit apartment complex from another state. You know, if that tenant had $600 and they signed a lease, he would let them move in, and most of the time they didn't pay the next month because no one was there running the place. It was like in shambles. So we got this property under contract at like less than 50 cents on the dollar, but we knew it needed a lot of work to go into it. So what did we do? We raised the funds. Between me and my real estate agent and a couple other friends from our meetup, we actually raised enough capital to go ahead and get into this property. And we also used a hard money lender to kind of finance the rest of it and help us do some renovations. And now we've ultimately refinanced this loan to a way lower interest rate with the local bank that likes multifamily. So how do we raise the funds? We talked about the deal. We presented it at our meetup. We actually like individually got and had like coffee or meetings with our friends that we thought might be interested, and we ultimately raised enough capital to buy this place, renovate it, and refinance it. So you might be thinking, well, how does this look? Like, how do we set something up like that? I already mentioned talk to that syndication attorney. Then you want to actually come up with the guidelines of how everyone's going to contribute, and then who's going to set it all up, who's going to be the manager, what the percentages are going to be, and the real estate attorney will help you out with this. And then ultimately you come up with an operating agreement that shows when there's going to be payouts, who owns what percent, you name it. And as you put more funds in, you can earn a higher percentage. So that was how we kind of, ironed out all of our details. And it's a work in progress. Like, it's a lot of communications, a lot of storyboards showing where we're at, because some of our friends that have invested with us are now overstate, and they're in other countries because they're in the military, you name it. So that was just one particular deal that we're doing. All right, I want to talk to you about a way to also raise private money for multifamily. And I got this actually from my hard money lender that had loaned me the money to do this apartment complex. And his name is Hard Money Mike Bond. The cash flow company is also his company, but he's helped me with a lot of loans. But he showed me this postcard where he had raised over like $7 million using this one postcard. And what he does is he actually borrows funds from individuals and loans it out and basically makes a spread on it. So this postcard, I'm actually going to offer you this postcard for free today as my free gift to you. But I'm going to show you how to look up the people to actually mail this postcard to. You're going to want a subscription to the landsharkslist.com, the landsharkslist.com. That's a prop stream subscription. I almost said prescription, but that's a prop stream subscription. That's a 7-day free trial for you to go in and pull a list of people that are 55 and older. They've lived in the same house 10 plus years and they have a zero balance on their mortgage. These people are usually loaded. They usually have money. They're 55 and older. Or they might be retired. They live in the same place 10 years and their house is paid for. Usually these people have $100,000, $200,000, sometimes $900,000 sitting doing nothing. Or maybe they have a self-directed IRA, or maybe they have an IRA that's not self-directed yet. There's attorneys that can help put that in place as well. And I'm just saying that you want to mail this postcard to someone that's 55 and older, they lived in the same house 10 years, and their house is paid for. Once again, I want you to run this postcard by a securities attorney. And how do you find a securities attorney? You can Google securities attorney or syndication attorney, and I want you to run it by them. And if they tell you, like, no, I wouldn't do this, ask them, is there another way they would recommend? Because oftentimes things change from state to state. Another thing they might recommend is I want you to have the property in mind first or under contract first. Like, there's little ways to keep out of trouble because you never want to hear from the Securities Administration. All right, guys, if you haven't smashed that subscribe button, go ahead and do it now. I'm going to go ahead and give you that free gift as promised, and that is my lending postcard. What I want you to do is I want you to put a picture on this postcard of a multi-family property or whatever you're going to do. Maybe it's mobile homes, maybe it's land, whatever it is. you can interchange these to even a single family home. So you can play with this, and that's by going to the landsharks.com/lending postcard. That's again, the landsharks.com/lending postcard. And I'm going to ask you for your name and your email, and then we're going to email that postcard to you, and you can document it. You can doctor it however you want, put whatever you want on there. And if you need someone to mail it out for you, I recommend going to landofferletter.com. It's on the screen, landofferletter.com. Tara at 3D Mail can go ahead and send those out for you for very cheap.